Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel once again. So today we are going to learn different perspective of plumeria rubra flower. I'm going to use this gel pen to draw things. You can use normal pencil or ball pen as well. It's totally fine because today we are going to learn how we can draw all these perspective. Plumeria rubra flower comes in a group, so multiple flowers combine together to create a group. So definitely the perspective is important, but let's learn some basic thing about this particular flower. So we need little pointed petals. Second thing, the petals are overlapped with each other, so it is not like all the 5 petals are separated by each other. If you see this particular flower, this is little bit overlapped with each other, so one petal overlapped with another. So let's consider these two scenarios. I have created 2 petals side by side crossing each other like this. So you rub the upper line, and if you rub the upper line, the uppermost petal is visible fully and the lower petal is half covered. Depend on how much petal area you want to cover, or else you can rub the lower line so that the lower petal is fully visible and upper petal is covered with the lower one. So this is something you need to follow throughout the flower. If you are rubbing the upper line, then rub all the upper lines. If you are rubbing the lower line, then rub all the lower lines to get symmetry. Now let's start with the first simple perspective. This is the front perspective. So assuming you are seeing this flower from the front, so create a round shape and divide this into 4 equal halves to get the center. Now assume this is the ovary of the flower. Just a simple round shape is sufficient. Now you can draw your petals side by side crossing each other like this. We need 5 petals, and then you can rub one line from each petal which is crossing to each other. So I'm rubbing this particular line throughout the flower. And then trace everything with the help of pen. We can beautify things later, but right now we are learning how we can draw different perspective of the flower. So I'm not going to shade the petals or anything like that. And you can add 2 lines at the base of each petal like this. Now this is the basic perspective wherein we can see all the 5 petals and ovary of the flower. You can add little bit of curls in the flower petals. So adding some structure like this in the petal gives you a curl in the petal. Now let's learn the right and the left perspective. So for this we need oval shape. 2 oval shape in the vertical direction. I'm creating this in the vertical direction. So make 2 ovals like this. We are going to draw this side by side. That's why I'm creating 2 oval shape, and divide this into 4 equal quarters to get the center. Now assume the first one is facing towards the left side. So the ovary of the flower should be on the right side from the center. Same with the right perspective. So this flower is facing towards left, so the ovary of the flower is towards right. The second one is facing towards the right, that's why the ovary of the flower is towards the left side. So we need 3 big petals on the left side and 2 smaller petals on the right side. These 2 smaller petals is important and 3 bigger petals, then only you can see the perspective here. Now let's draw this with the help of pen. Now we can see this is more tilted towards the left side, but as soon as we add the curl in the smaller two petals, you can see it more clearly. So let's add curl in these two petals. This flower also has one back portion as well, so I'm not adding that because this is anyways going in a group. Now repeat the same thing for the right perspective as well. So 3 bigger petals on the right side and 2 smaller petals on the left side. Create one small ovary at the center. Now this, because of the 2 smaller and 3 bigger petals, you can see this is more tilted towards the right side. And when you add the curl in the 2 smaller petals, you can see the perspective in a better way. So now you can see this one is facing towards the right side. So we are done with the left and right perspective. Now let's learn how we can draw few more perspective. So this one is facing towards the sky. So we need an oval shape in the horizontal direction, not too thick, but fine oval shape like this. Now get the center, and this time the ovary of the flower is towards the upper portion from the center. So I'm creating ovary little bit here towards upward direction. Then I'm creating one petal like this. We do not have pointed end in this particular one. Create 2 big petals side by side, one left, one right, and this one is curled towards the upward direction. So add a triangle kind of shape in this particular one, and 2 smaller at the top, 2 bigger, 2 smaller, and one petal having curl in it facing towards the sky. Let's trace everything and rub the unwanted pencil mark. You can add curls in the different other petals as well if you want to. Those things are optional. Like I'm adding few curl in the upper 2 petals. Okay, so this one is facing towards the sky, as you can see. Now let's learn few more, which is tilted towards the left and tilted towards the right, not fully but halfway. So little bit tilted towards left and right. Now divide this into 4 equal quarters to get the center approximately, and then we can create small ovary at the center, and then we can create 5 petals. So because we have too much space towards left and right, we can create 2 big petals like this side by side, and then you can create 2 smaller in the upward direction. You can do 2 smaller at the lower direction as well, but I'm creating 2 smaller at the upward direction and 1 at the lower. This time we can see the pointed end in the lower petal as well. I'm repeating the same thing for this particular one as well, but this time I'm creating 2 smaller at the lower portion and 1 at the upper portion. Tilted towards left or right you can do, but we can see the pointed end. Now trace everything with the help of pen, and you can see it's totally different perspective than left and right and towards the sky. This is more like we can see the flower but little bit tilted towards left and right, and you can add curls in the flower petals. Group of these kind of flowers, these perspective is absolutely important to learn, which I'm going to show you later how we can create a group of these flowers. So these are the flower perspective. Now let's learn few half bloomed flower perspective. So these are flowers only, but these are half bloomed not fully, so we can see the petals but we cannot see what is going inside the petal. Basically we cannot see the ovary of the flower. So create one petal inside the circle and then cover this with the left and right petals and two smaller at the top. Now you can see, we can see the 5 petals but we are not able to see the center part of the flower, that is ovary of the flower. You can add little bit of curl in this particular petal as well to make it look like it is tilted towards the backside. I am creating back portion as well for this particular one so that we can see the perspective better. Now this time this one is oval shape in the vertical direction, so I'm creating 3 to 4 petals like this, and you can keep one smaller at the center anywhere. So I'm creating one smaller here which is not fully visible, but it's fine because it is anyways half bloomed flower. Now this one is an oval shape in a horizontal direction. I'm creating one petal inside the oval shape and covering this particular petal with other few petals like this. Now likewise you can create different half bloomed flower as well. Now it's important to learn how we can compose all these flowers having different flower perspective. So let's create a very simple composition. So one flower fully visible, one flower, few parts are covered with the front flower, one more flower here wherein most of the parts are covered with the other flowers, and one half bloomed flower here. So we have roughly composed the things like how we wanted our composition. Now because this one is fully bloomed and we can see the petals, this is the front perspective, so all the petals are simple, little bit overlapped with each other, a simple perspective like this, and ovary in the center. Now let's talk about this one. So this one is more tilted towards the right side, so that's why the ovary is more towards the left side, and few bigger petals like this, and assume one petal is totally hidden from the front flower, so we can see couple of petals but all petals are not visible, and add curl in this particular petal so that it is more tilted towards the right side. Now this one is mostly covered with other flowers, so I'm creating 2 big petals having curl in it and few smaller which is not fully visible. Now this one is half bloomed flower, so one petal inside the circle and few petals covering this particular petal. Now this is we have roughly created. Now let's trace everything with the help of pen so that you can see things clearly and you can create your own composition. You can create as many as flower you like to, you can create some overlapped flower, you can draw different perspective, and this perspective is important because we are creating all these flower in a group. This one is front perspective, so we can see all the petals. You can do little modification while tracing as well, it's totally fine. This is the last time we can do some modification in the petals and curls. So add all the petals like this, few petals are completely invisible, and this one is half bloomed flower. Now let's rub all the unwanted pencil mark first, and then we can decide if we need any modification or not. Let's do it. Now I think we need one more petal here, so I'm adding this here, and I'm happy with my simple composition having 3 to 4 flowers in it. You can add leaves or stems, whatever you want to, just to finish this particular one. So you don't need any reference flower or photograph. You can create your own like this. So we are done with all the perspective for today's video. Do let me know if you guys have any feedback for me. Thank you so much for watching my videos. See you guys in the next video.